Hi, welcome to the Market Alert for Friday, the 19th of February 2021. So the main topic today really is the rising yields in the bond market. So real yields are ringing a warning bell for the risk rally, i.e. the stock market and everything else bubble as it gets talked about. That's the first headline. And the second, again, US futures slide after China reopening disappoints. And again, yields resume rise. The Fed focusing on downside risk gave market the green light to carry on. And then finally, again, stock slammed as 10-year breaks above 1.30. Damn it, Janet. I think I should say do something. She will, don't worry. They'll be printing shortly just to keep everything tickety-boo, keep the stock market on the all-time highs. This is the 10-year maturity. If we click on Max, you will see that rates were at 15% in the 80s. So come back there, you'll see it's on the high there. You go, 15.84, and now you can barely get, not so long ago they were down at 0.55. It's shocking, isn't it? This is what you get when you paint yourself into a corner, print lots of money, screw up the economy, and then you have to keep printing money at low rates. And eventually the whole thing comes falling down. So it's just a matter of the waiting game. But the last thing you want is the rates to go up, because people will say, well, I won't stay in the stock market. It's way overvalued. I'd rather guarantee 2 or 3% and not have the risk. So people then leave the stock market. So they've got to do whatever they can to get these rates down. Meanwhile, on the news front, while I'm here, I've got rid of the low impact news. It's driving me crazy. So we can see what's really important here. If it's high impact now, then it must be important, is the conclusion that I've come to. UK retail sales out at 7 a.m. and then we've got the French flash. Oh, it's the flash time, is it? This is an absolute pain in the rear, isn't it? Because no sooner have you got into a trade, we've got all of these flash news items, and then there's one at 2:45 for the US. So all of Europe, UK, and the US today for the flash PMI figures there. And I've just realised I haven't put in the implied volatility, so let me bring these in for you so we can have a look at these. And you can see this is increased a bit yesterday from 1647 to 1748. So Wednesday 1647, Thursday 1748. So a bit of an increase heading back towards the 20 bar MA there. And still green at the moment is where we are. So let's have a look at the Dow and see what this is doing. Again, you can see we're above the 20 bar moving average, which is fine, but we're stuck in a sideways range, and it's clearly defined there. The market was starting to make lower highs, and then yesterday the market managed to get above the high but didn't close above it, and we're now closing below the 5 bar moving average. So maybe we are going to get some sort of correction, but they're doing their best to hold the market, which you'd expect anyway. So these would be the areas of support, starting off of course with the 20 bar moving average there, and also taking out yesterday's low as far as the Dow is concerned. Meanwhile, in the German DAX, and we'll go to the daily chart here, and you'll see that prices have moved off the lows on the overnight, coming off the 89% retracement from this low to this high, drawn back, and you will see there we've got 89 and 78. So again, make a note of these, but prices moving back towards the upside there. So I'm just going to redraw this. I can't draw it on yesterday or the overnight low, so we'll go from this high down to this low. So that's from there down to there, and these are the upside fibs that you want to make a note of should prices move higher. Watch at these the 50% retracement there. You've got a 5 bar moving average in the way as well, so keep an eye on those and make a note. So overnight we saw the DAX moving to the downside sharply. You can see this here, heading down to the low. This grey line is yesterday's low, and prices move down and sit on the low. It's amazing how this effective this is. The market came straight off this, traded up, put in a retracement, and then did a retracement from down to there back to here as well of around 78%. Amazing how that happens so often. And then up to the 200 MA, which it found a resistance area. I had to come back a couple of times but not break the 20 bar, and then eventually we drive through for 50 points through the DP, previous day's close, and up to the 13,950 area. So let's just compress everything, have a look, see where we are in, and stand back. So we're way off the low by 100 points. That's the picture so far. We've got the high to take out. If we get through the high, that will be great, because then we'll carry on up towards the R2 there. And in the daily chart, the R2 is 14,030. So 14,050 takes you to 62%, more or less ballpark there. So if we move higher, watch that 5 bar through the 50, but 62% retracement is in this area here. So we'll see what the futures market does, and also what the flash news is when released as well. So there's a roundup of today's overnight and what happened in the news yesterday to drive the markets. Like I say, the interesting one here are these yields, and if we just do this, you'll see the yield starting to move back to the upside there. So keep an eye on this one over the next few days as well. Okay, let's have a quick look at yesterday's market activity, and we'll start in the futures yesterday morning, 7 a.m. and they moved the market down towards the low. Again, you see how the volume increases in this area, prices are brought back, and I'm just going to fast forward through this. Again, see support at the BRN, and then prices immediately move to the upside as soon as the cash market opens, and then we get a bit of selling pressure in this bar here. As you can see, prices head towards the previous day's close and DP, and the BRN there as well. So as we go through this, I'm just having a look at the daily chart just to see where we've got any sort of resistance. We hadn't got to the 38%, so there was nothing major there, but as you'll see in just a moment, prices trade sideways, volume starts to drop off, and then in this one we get an increase in volume. So there's some selling at this point, and then prices are moved to the downside. Now draw the fibs in just to see where the market will likely find support. We had some buying pressure here at 50%, just below the 200 MA and the 20 bar moving average, but it only held briefly, as then we had a potential sell signal and prices traded down. And again, we got the BRN in the way and the previous bars low here, so anything can happen. But the market didn't want to go up, and as the headline yesterday, the market looks weak. So I thought, well, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt, see if it moves to the low. Now the low is really important, as we just saw in the overnight market. They brought the market back from the low, and there you'll see the volume increase there, which is why you've seen me jump out of the trade, because we've got the, just move this back a bit so you can see that happen. So as it came down to the low, that volume increases, get out of the trade, because it's likely to come back, and come back it did, straight back to the 200 bar moving average. And then amazing, the volume dropped off completely, and you see prices just drifting sideways there. Again, no real interest on the upside, just stuck in this range. Back to the close, bit of more weakness there, trying to get to the DP but fails, and then prices move back to the downside there. And that's how more or less it panned out for the morning, just drifting up and down for the DAX there. In the afternoon, well, that was a lot more volatile than the morning session actually. Prices had moved lower on the bad news for the jobless claims, which came out at 1:30. So let's fast forward And initially, again, you'll see prices attempting to move higher as the Dow futures moved higher before the cash market opened. Prices here, again, still trying to move higher, but we've got selling coming into the market here, and then prices are moved lower, as you can see, back down towards the DP. They do manage to come off the lows here, a lot of volume as prices start to move back to the upside. Got to get back through the 200 MA, we go through the entry price, but now we've got a problem because we've got a fib of about 89 around this area here where the scalp is, but prices don't even get to this level. You can see the selling coming in. Prices have come off the high in this bar, the volume's increased, and then they start to trade sideways to lower back through the 3 averages, which is a bit of a warning, and then prices start to move to the downside. So the long side again is indicating at the moment that there is a lot of weakness. Prices trade through the entry, and again they attempt to come back. I see an increase in volume, but again, because it won't move higher, it's worth just hanging in there to see if it'll find resistance, and it does at the 62% retracement. Comes straight back through the 200 MA and the 20 bar, and then comes back again, has another look. We get a green bar, then we go sideways, and then eventually we break to the downside on some heavy selling. But look at the buying pressure coming back in, and look where we are again at the low. So this makes up for the loss in the first trade, and again you can see at that low they're buying back in, so it was a case of take the money off the table. Prices rebound. You can see there's a lot of buying down here, but again not enough to actually move the market to the upside. So if it's not moving up, it means those that were short on this move are taking their profits off the table. And then prices eventually break the low as they close back below the 5 bar moving average and continue lower just briefly at the S1. You can see buying pressure coming in here because you've got that increased volume, narrow spread at the S1. So prices find support and then trade sideways. Again, you see them trying to buy back in here as they head down towards the BRN. And then once more, they say, no, we've gone far enough, let's bring it back to the S1. And then prices start to move back. And on this trade, prices stopped at the 62. And what I did was move the stop to break even here. You can see the original stop's been removed, just to see if it's got any strength to move to the upside. And it didn't have. Immediately it was hit by selling at the BRN there. And I'm having a look in the daily chart to see what's going on, and prices are still sitting at that 89% retracement. And then I'm just going to fast forward because we stay sideways until the crude oil inventories come out at 4 p.m. and that was yesterday afternoon's trading session there. So let's have a look, see where we are. Prices just starting to come back down. We've got some selling here now in the DAXs. The futures have just opened. I'm a bit late this morning, and there you can see the selling coming in. So I'm going to have to finish off this to get it onto the internet. But yeah, so keep an eye on the DP levels and the close. See how the market fares there. But there's a lot of weakness around, even though prices have been moved higher on the overnight. It's interesting to see that they're under pressure on, or likely to be under pressure during the futures and the cash market. Okay, that will do it for this one. As ever, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.